What stage does program design mastery come in? At what stage should a trainer really, should it be day one? Should it be month six? Where does that come into play?
And I think that's a beautiful question, and that's something that we need to answer as educators. I think day one's is not the time for a trainer to have all the knowledge that they need. I think day one is a time that the trainer has the tools that they need to be successful, to look successful in their client's eye, to make the client look successful and feel successful. So day one, definitely not it. I think the process, and I don't know if there is an actual definitive timeline, but the process is you've got to be introduced to the ability to deliver a program. You need to be able to take a program that's designed and that's been kind of based upon what we know, be able to implement it, communicate it, be able to make minor adjustments to it because you've been introduced to the principles and the concepts of program design, acute variable, manipulations to different things, planes of motion, sets, reps, all the different variables. And then once you understand the variables, then you can start getting into what is your client telling you, what does your client want, and what are your client's abilities? What type of observation skills do you have that can inform you about your client's ability to move, and then what can you put together? So there's kind of a process of implementation, implement a program first, then get the tools to start building programs, and then once you can build some, what I would call just basic programs that lead to success, then you can start getting into the creative realm, because the more you understand and the more you're aware and the more experience you have, and people sometimes forget it, it's an experiential factor, is how much experience do I have, how many times have I made mistakes? And I think if you look at people who write really good programs and who are very good in the industry, they've done a lot of things that didn't always work out, and they've learned. And that's the key, is you find out what works, you find out what doesn't work, you find out the different types of clients that you have, maybe the clients that you attract, and then you're able to create programs that have a little bit more artwork to them, meaning that you're still following the concepts and principles, but now you're putting them and twisting them into a different look and a different format and a different feel that really match what your client wants and feels based upon the connection that you have.
So a trainer will be really effective at delivering the results that people come to them for if he or she what?
If he or she listens to the client and also continues with their education. And so I think that's what the partnership is you really have to pay attention to your clients, because they're going to tell you what they want and what they don't want. That's going to dictate whether you're successful with them or whether you're not successful with them. And then you have to take that and you have to partner it with, what are my known factors? What are my variables with a program? What do I have to work with in a program based upon my client? Does my client not want to go into the free weight room? Okay, well that's probably not where I'm going to take them. So that takes out one variable. Now what do I have left to work with? My client does not like machines. Okay, now that takes out another variable. So now what I'm left with is some cables and a floor and a medicine ball. Okay, now I have to be able to create the program. So it's listening to your client, and then it's understanding the acute variables and then how to manipulate them.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, what's going on in the fitness industry right now that Rodney Corn is particularly excited about?
I think that's actually a good question, because there's so much going on. I think it's gaining new insight and getting better awareness of how the body works, what muscles do, what muscles are, the whole fascial component that's being, I think, much more publicized now, how joints move relative to one another. So getting a big awareness of how the body is working that we weren't really honed in on earlier over the last couple of decades. So in this last few years, probably 5 years, we've really gotten a good understanding, or a better understanding, I should say, of how the body moves, what makes up the body, and what it's capable of doing and not doing. And then also getting into some of the behavioral components of how that plays such an important role in the delivery of the information from trainer to client, client to trainer, communication, connection. And that behavioral component also affects how they move. So if a trainer can get much more aware of their behavior, of a client's behavior, then they can actually affect movement. And so I think that's pretty exciting. I think that's areas and directions that are going to be really expanded upon in the future. And I think when when education starts wrapping itself around the behavioral, the better options for movement and motion, and they start combining those together, I think we got something pretty special. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, I'm pretty excited to have had the opportunity to talk to you for a while.
Oh, I'm just excited.
Well, thank you, Rodney, for being here.
It's my pleasure, Bobby. My pleasure.
Thank you for being here as well.